I, coming from a very humble first generation Dalit family, was thinking that this is what we have escaped for the last 50 years. I like our leader Periyar. We had a great leader called Periyar. I was also an IAS officer earlier. So when I was a collector in one district, this used to happen. Whenever there was an illegal construction, what is this majoritarianism in India? In fact, whenever you ask anybody, they will say it's a Hindu-Muslim issue, sir, or it is a communal problem. But this fight is the fundamental fight. So the fight is between hierarchy and equity in India. Reason, we have heard certain groups in this country have not participated in the independence movement. It is not that they didn't want the Britishers out. They also wanted the Britishers out. But they never wanted this equitable space. Independence movement, in my opinion, was not only against the British, oppression. It was also about a fight to make India an equitable space. What happens in a majoritarian country? The majority gets a very good deal and the minority gets a very bad deal. India is the only country where the majority itself gets a very bad deal. Happy Gandhi Jayanti for you. In fact, yesterday I got a call from Government of India and this guy was continuously calling me. And then when I picked up the phone, from the other side, he said, "Sir, tomorrow are you attending this function?" I said, "What?" "Tomorrow there is a function in your constituency where you have to go and clean a choke." I was like, "What?" He said, "Yes, are you not attending?" I said, "Maybe, I'm in Delhi. But then you can clean it in Delhi also." I, coming from a very humble first generation Dalit family, was thinking that this is what we have escaped for the last 50 years. And here is Government of India which wants me to go back. I was surprised when I came back to my room and I started browsing my Twitter. There was a feed where I could see the governor of Tamilnadu very actively taking a long broom and cleaning a Mahatma Gandhi's, Gandhi Mantabam. Of course, with all the gloves and mask and everything. I was like wondering, who is he mocking? Is he mocking Gandhiji or is he mocking us? Is he mocking the thousands of people who have been engaging in these things? But this is what it is right now, isn't it? So my topic here is about majoritarianism. Of course, all the PhDs in political science, you have to excuse me. I'm not a theorist. So the fine difference between majoritarianism, populism, fascism is all one for us. Okay, you can call it populism or majoritarianism, whatever is happening in this country right now. I like our leader Periyar. We had a great leader called Periyar. For a simple reason. Yes, I could see some Periyar fans. We can give a big hand for him. A lot of people don't know about him, but then I like him for one reason, for all reasons. He used to say complicated things in a very simple way. And I think that symbolizes what he was. And we are all products of him. So I'm going to try and incorporate his style into what I speak. I'm going to simplify stuff so that we get to understand what this is all about. What is majoritarianism? I'm not going to go into the lecture of all this, right? Anybody who attended a party would have had this experience of, you wanting to hear a certain kind of music, and then this huge crowd wants to hear Bollywood music. And then after some time you try again and again explaining that maybe this time let us hear something very soft or Western, but this crowd is not going to allow you to do anything of that. They're going to beat you back into hearing this chaiye chaiye on a repeat mode. That is majoritarianism in a simple way. It might look cool even if you're a Bollywood fan. It might look cool for some time, but then imagine hearing chaiya chaiya for the rest of your life on a repeat mode again and again and again and again. It's not cool. It's not cool. So first thing I want to say is majoritarianism is not at all cool, first of all. Secondly, I keep getting reminded of this friend of mine when we were young children. We used to play this mohalla cricket. And this was the guy who owned the bat. So we used to wait for him to come. And he will always come. And he will always dictate everything. He will say how this game should be played. Okay. And obviously he'll be batting first. And we'll have to bowl for him. And then he'll also tell us where to stand and everything. So this guy with the bat, he always had this thing of dictating things to people. Now the problem here is, it's not just because he owns the bat. That's not the real problem. The real problem, he keeps changing the rules. You know, every time he gets out, he will say, no, 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 not this way. This is not the right way. Maybe you should bowl from this side. You know, he'll say, no, 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 I didn't see the bowler coming. Now the rules have changed. Now changing the rules according to what the powerful want is a big problem in majoritarianism. Now, there is one more bigger issue in all this. It's not even changing the rules. It's this guy doesn't even think that we deserve to play. You know, that's a bigger problem. So imagine, you know, as long as you are with this guy, it's okay. But then I only know it's a matter of time. I'm going to be another person for him, right? So majoritarianism is something which is a danger not only to the minority, but to everybody, is the whole argument. I don't think I have to explain this further. But what I really want to talk about today is about how did we end up here? And is this real majoritarianism? What is this majoritarianism in India? In fact, whenever you ask anybody, they will say it's a Hindu-Muslim issue, sir, or it is a communal problem. But I don't see it that way. In fact, I don't see it that way at all. I don't see this is a Hindu-Muslim issue at all. In fact, this problem in India, according to my understanding, has deeper roots. In fact, I see India has always been on a fight. There has always been a fight in India between two mindsets. Not between two religions, but between two mindsets. One mindset which believes in hierarchy. That mindset believes in control. The same mindset believes in fear as a tool. The same mindset believes in some kind of uniformity, some kind of duty, right? You understand this mindset? There is second mindset which believes in equity, which believes in friendship, which believes in love, which believes in affection. These two mindsets you can see everywhere. Even if you are from a corporate, have you seen these two types of managers? One who wants to control, one who wants to use the danda for everything, and there is another person who wants to treat everybody equally. Now these two mindsets have been fighting in India for a long time. They have different names in history, you know. But this fight is the fundamental fight. So the fight is between hierarchy and equity in India. Now, let's forward this whole thing. I'm not going into why Buddha came and other things, because these are all, if you see from this perspective, it is all the same fight again and again and again and again. But then I'm going to forward you to this independence movement. Right, now there is a huge movement which started in India against an oppressive force. Now, independence movement, in my opinion, was not only against the British, oppression. It was also about a fight to make India an equitable space. Because India was absolutely in a very different space. The high concept of hierarchy was codified into the caste system. And this caste system is the reality of India. You know, if we talk about the current issue, we cannot forget talking about casteism or patriarchy in India. That is the real elephant in the room, right? Now, brilliant people, they have codified the whole thing into a social structure. And that was how India was progressing. And then came the British, then came a movement. And in that movement, we believed that it is not only about sending British out, but what after sending them out, how would we live? And this mindset, which was believing in equity, overwhelmed the independence movement. And we decided India will be an equitable space after this independence. This was the fundamental idea behind the independence movement. Now, you have the first mindset, which never believed in this, right? Now, they didn't want to participate in the independence movement only because of this reason. You know, we have heard certain groups in this country have not participated in the independence movement. It is not that they didn't want the Britishers out. They also wanted the Britishers out. But they never wanted this equitable space. Because that was not their way of life. Now, I'm not blaming them. But that was what they fundamentally believed. They fundamentally believed society has to be like this. It can't be like this, right? So they didn't participate in the independence movement, they stayed out. But then the independence movement was very successful, we became independent, and then we created a blueprint for us, which is the Constitution. And whatever we wanted to make this an equitable society was codified into the Constitution. Now, for the first mindset, you can imagine the biggest villain for them is this codified Constitution, because it has fundamentally changed their way of life, right? So this is the fight. Now, right from 1950 onwards, when we had the Constitution, the first group was trying to get back power. They were trying every means to get back power. By this time, democracy has already come in. We had an election, we had this first past post system. So you have to now really win an election to get back power. Even to create a society that youth believed in, you need power. But then for 30, 40, 50 years, they couldn't do it until they found the formula of majoritarianism, until they found the formula of populism, until they found the formula of fascism. Now what is this? I'm going to tell you very simply, in their own words, this whole thing is 80-20 politics, right? Now what is 80-20 politics? In simple terms, suppose let's say I'm contesting an election in a society, in an apartment society, and I go, let's say there are 100 voters, there are 2 of us contesting. So if we go to all the 100 voters, both of us, and tell that, okay, come, please elect us, I will be, doing good, I am the good guy. Then my competitor also comes, goes to all the 100 people and says, elect me, I'm okay, I'm the best guy. What is the probability of votes that both of us will get? 50%? I might get 50%, he might get 50%. This formula is not a formula of success. It doesn't guarantee success. Now here there is another formula where I don't go to 20%. I go to only 80%. And I tell them a story. I tell them a story about this 20%. That look, our apartment has a problem only because of these 20 people. And if these 20 people are controlled, then everything will be like heaven. So, in fact, these 20 people are there to get you very soon. So elect me. I will control them. Now, if I tell this story in a very good way, and I create enough fear into that 80%, there is a probability that I might get 60 votes, not 50. If I tell a very good story, I might get 70 votes. If I tell a great story, I'm going to get all the 80 votes, and I'm going to win this election. The whole idea of majoritarianism is not hate, but fear. Spreading fear in this 80 is the whole idea of majoritarianism. It's not about making people hate 20. It is spreading fear in this 80. That is the whole concept. So once I spread fear and I keep telling stories, that is when my success in the election is going to happen. Now let me be very clear here. The idea of making Muslims, or victimizing or making them bad, look bad, is not really against the Muslims. It is to win an election. If today Muslims were not there, they would have found somebody else to create this. I'll give you a very good another example of Manipur. Right? In Manipur, there was a tribal, non-tribal issue. And the population there are equally split. Okay? Now, if I make it a tribal, non-tribal issue, I'm not going to get this 20% of minority using which I can create fear. So what they intelligently did in Manipur is took only one tribe and made them the villains. That tribe, which is only 10 to 15%, and made them the villains of the rest of Manipur. And then that's how that whole propaganda was spread. So this idea of 80-20 politics or spreading fear amongst 80 is what whole majoritarianism is all about. Now, they found this formula very easily. And really, it was not very easy for them, because the first mindset was basically casteist. They had to really overcome that feeling and create this myth of Hindus. Now, one interesting fact about India, we have heard a lot about majoritarian countries. We are the only fake majoritarian country in this world. Our majoritarianism itself is fake. What happens in a majoritarian country? The majority gets a very good deal, and the minority gets a very bad deal. India is the only country where the majority itself gets a very bad deal. For example, we are asking for a caste census, right? Now the idea of caste census, you agree or don't agree, that's a different topic. But what is the problem in caste census? What are they perceiving? When caste census comes, there will be somebody who will get unduly benefited. Now my question is, who is this? Is this the Muslims? Is this the Christians? No, it's the Hindus. But within the Hindu community, it is only the underprivileged and the backward classes who are going to get undue advantage. Now, if you are a Hindu majoritarian country, or if you are a Hindu majoritarian party, why would you not like this? Why would you not like this? You would not like this only when you are basically a casteist and you don't want that equity to happen. So, my first proposition here is, India is the biggest fake majoritarian country. The fight is not between Hindus and Muslims. The fight is between equity and hierarchy. And the victims, primary victims, are the majority Hindu community. It is not the Muslims. Muslims are just shown to win elections. It's a mathematical game. Yes, there is collateral damage happening to the community. But the original target of these guys is to bring back that whole idea of this old hierarchical, mythical India. You know, when they change these laws, this Bharatiya Nyaya Sanghita or whatever, it's still not getting into me. What was the reason they said? They said, no boss, we don't want this Western justice system. It is colonial. We want to go back to our old Nyaya system. I asked them, boss, this is what I escaped from. Your old Nyaya system is what I ran away from. And you want to get that back? It really puts a deep hole into my stomach. And every underprivileged sitting here, every backward community sitting here, every woman sitting here should be afraid of this statement. What are they going to bring back? So this whole idea of fake majoritarianism happens in India. And the real victims of this is the majority Hindu community. Because the guys who are asking for this are the people, exactly the people who don't believe in any kind of equity. I think this message should be traveling. This message is what we should be putting into people's mind and making them understand. In every aspect of what they do, they make it a point that they break this entire structure. That is why we keep saying, no, fascism doesn't announce itself loudly. It creeps in very quietly, insidiously, in the guise of nationalism, patriotism, or whatever the mythical they create the security. It doesn't survive on announcing and coming. It very insidiously comes and keep making one law after the other, one law after the other, and then they build it. When I was a collector, I was also an IAS officer earlier. So when I was a collector in one district, this used to happen. Whenever there was an illegal construction to be started, what they would do is they would not jump and construct the whole thing. When we are going on the car, suddenly I would see some sand in some place. Then after a week, there will be some 10 bricks in the same place. Then after 1 month, you will see one line of brick being laid. Then they'll wait for 2 more months to lay that second line of brick. And it creeps very slowly. If you don't notice it, or probably you might even notice it, you will forget noticing it. And then later, in a month or two, when you come back, you see a big structure coming up. This is how majoritarianism also grows, slowly, steadily. But there is a bigger fuel to majoritarianism. That fuel is the silence of the majority. That is the biggest fuel for majoritarianism to grow. The more we are silent, the better it grows, right? Now, because this speech is about what do you do to counter this? I understand that part because we have talked enough about how bad it is. I'm not going to go there. But how are we going to tackle this is what I think we should focus. Right. I think the first step, in my opinion, is to understand this in context. We cannot simply get deviated by their propaganda, trying to say this is Hindus versus Muslims or India versus non-India, whatever. But I think the fundamental problem is is bringing back the non-hierarchical casteist society, and that is what they're trying to do. And who should be wary of it is the majority Hindus, who should understand the undertext of this language.